Good day everyone, I'm Marcia Cardente. Utilitarianism is a theory of morality which advocates action that frustrate happiness or pleasure and oppose action that cause unhappiness or harm. Would say that an action is right if it is the result in the happiness of the greatest number of people in a society or a group. In reality, utility is defined as pleasure itself and the absence of pain. Thus, another name for utility is the greatest happiness principles. These principles holds that actions are right in proportion as they tend to promote happiness, wrong as they tend to produce the reverse of happiness, like the individual hedonist. The hedonistic utilitarian claims that we can define the net hedonic value of a life equals df, the sum of the pleasure, which have positive hedonic value, and pain, which have negative hedonic value, contains in the life, where it is assumed that pleasure and pains can be all measured on a single scale.
Hi, good day everyone. I'm Wendy De Castro from BS Midwifery 1. What is utilitarianism? Utilitarianism is an ethical theory that determines right from wrong by focusing on outcomes. It is also held that the most ethical choice is the one that will produce the greatest good for the greatest number. It also the most common approach to moral reasoning used in business because of the way in which accounts for costs and benefits. However, because we cannot predict the future, it's difficult to know with certainty whether the consequences of our action will be good or bad. This is one of the limitations of utilitarianism. Utilitarianism also has trouble accounting for values such as justice and individual rights. For example, assume a hospital has four people whose lives depend upon receiving organ transplant. If a healthy person wander into the hospital, his organ could be harvested to save four lives at the expense of one life. This would be arguably produce the greatest good for the greatest number, but few would consider it an acceptable course of action, let alone the most ethical one. So, although utilitarianism is arguable, the most reason-based approach to determine right and wrong, it has obvious limitation. And that's are my insight about utilitarianism. Thank you.
Good day, I'm Samantha Liani Flores from BS in Midwifery 1. Utilitarianism is a family of normative ethical theories that prescribe actions that maximize happiness and well-being for all affected individuals. One of the best examples is the Robin Hood. Robin Hood's act is immoral because it deprived the wealthy people of the right that is due them, and because Robin Hood's act is morally good, it produces maximum benefits that is greatest happiness to the majority of the people. Thank you.
Good day everyone. I am Tricia Flores and I'm going to share my insights on utilitarianism and answer the given questions. So, utilitarianism is a moral choice that will result in the largest amount of happiness for the greatest number of people. They also stated that it is a context through which military action or work can be justified. For instance, if there are 5 people whose lives are dependent on organ transplantation, if a healthy person joins it, his organs could be harvested in order to save 5 lives at the cost of 1. This obviously will result in the greatest benefit for the greatest number of people. Few, however, would deem it inappropriate, accepting the most ethical course of action. For me, pleasures are not all commensurable because we cannot attain on how much pleasure does a person does or implement. They cannot also evaluate it on a single scale because just like what I have said, you cannot really measure one's pleasure. Yes, it can be balanced on some goods like friendships against other goods. Is that because utilitarianism focus on the satisfaction and benefits to the greatest number of people? Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Angelica Pingul from Midwifery 1. Pleasure is defined as the feeling of satisfaction and enjoyment. Pleasures are not commensurable with one another, nor with pains. Besides, no human mind can calculate the quantity of pleasure and pain that will result from a given action. This task is impossible even when only the pleasure of the agent is to be taken into account. When the pleasure and pain of all concerned are to be measured by the proposal becomes nothing, in short of an absurdity. But with regards to the question if it is comparable, yes it is, considering the enjoyment and satisfaction that an act brings to the person doing it. The feeling is the same. In friendship, give and take is sometimes a difficult concept to maintain. The balance of who is doing more for the friendship will go back and forth, and over time it should be a fairly equal thing. Financial inequalities in particular can make it harder to spend time together. If your friend's money values and budget don't line up with yours, it can seem hard to find a way to make the friendship work. But it does not necessarily have to be that way. Just because you and your friend's money values and incomes differ doesn't mean that you can't remain good friends. And you don't have to ignore your money values to do it. That is why the first step to making friendships work is to accept the differences and embrace the fact that each person brings something unique to the friendship. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Murtaza Maxim S. Volande from BS in Midwifery 1. What is utilitarianism? Utilitarianism is a theory of morality which advocates action that foster happiness or pleasure and opposes actions that cause unhappiness or harm. Utilitarianism would say that an action is right if it results in the happiness of the greatest number of people in society or a group. When individuals are deciding that what to do for themselves alone, they consider only their own utility. For example, if you are choosing ice cream for yourself, a utilitarian view is that you should choose the flavor that will give you the most pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maria Katrina Yumol from BS Midwifery 1. In this group activity, we will going to discuss about the utilitarianism. So, what is utilitarianism? For me, the word utilitarianism, it is a teleological, ethical approach which supports the consequence of an ethical decision rather than the actions. So, according to Jeremy Bentham, the utilitarian principle is the greatest happiness for the greatest number. Utilitarianism could allow killing if it led to the best possible outcome for the most people. One of the examples of utilitarianism is Robin Hood, because he is doing an action that may not be basically a right action. And Robin Hood is the basic ethical principle. To steal from the rich and give to the poor appears to be utilitarian approach, though the result of stealing from the rich and giving to the poor does create the greatest happiness for the greatest number, because there would have been many more peasants benefits from Robin Hood's action than rich people suffering from it. So in this sense, Robin Hood was a utilitarian. That's all po. Thank you.
Searching for some films that exemplify utilitarianism, and I found that the film called The Beach starring Leonardo DiCaprio, is showing double sides of utilitarianism. By watching the film, I just noticed in one of the scenes that one of the members of the group on the island is attacked by sharks. He's in a bad condition, and it's obvious he'll die if he doesn't get medical help. He wants someone to come over on the island to help him, but the leader of the group doesn't want to just come over someone because the place is secret and the island prohibits tourists from entering. They're forcing him to get him to the boat to go to the hospital, but he can't mention anything where he got the accident. But still, he doesn't want to go near the water. So they just refuse to seek help because it might disclose their home's secret location. The residents of the beach were unable to bear the sounds of the man's pain, so he put him in the jungle because it was robbing them of the island's promising happiness. He didn't want to die alone in the jungle, but it didn't matter because he was taking the happiness away from everyone on the island. The question here is it wise for these people to let their friend die when they could have saved him, despite the fact that they are satisfied? The definition of utilitarianism in this case is debatable, but the decisions they make seems to improve their satisfaction, but also result in the death of one of their own.
Robin Hood by William Humphrey and William Cooper. It is an evil person. William from the innocent Robin Hood was a good person. William from the evil people. But the deliverance Robin Hood set the right thing by betraying his country in more than two letters. It's more. Robin Hood in Robin Hood faces ethical principles still from courage and gives principles address to the utilitarian approach. This is a huge story, an action that may not